So welcome back, by the way. So in the first hour of the program, we talked about how these crisis pregnancy centers that are in many cases funded by religious organizations, the Catholic Church, and now increasingly by Republican-controlled states around the country, are injecting religion into pregnancy. In the second hour, we talked about how Franklin Graham is out now saying, don't worry about climate change, everything's good, God will take care of it, just keep sending me money. Let's do a little bit deeper dive on this whole weird kind of, well, I was going to say all-American, but clearly it's not. It's happening all across Europe, too, of this Christian nationalism movement. My old colleague, shouldn't say old, I've known him for quite a while, Ben Dixon, the host of the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show, the Benjamin Dixon, Dixon show.com is his website. Benjamin P. Dixon is his Twitter handle, is on the line with us. Ben, it's great having you back. It's been too long.
Tom, it has been a while. It's great to see you.
Yeah, back at you. And so you've been doing a deep dive into this, and I'm really fascinated to find out what you have learned. Tell me, let's first define terms. What is Christian nationalism? Is it really and truly the religion of white supremacy, or is white supremacy simply a kind of a secondary or tertiary feature of it? And why should we be concerned?
You know, I think that white supremacy is the defining feature of it. If you lay the Christian theology side by side with, let's say, Black liberation theology or any other form of theology, you see where they part ways generally is along the lines of protecting the white male Christian power structure. And I get that phrase from Bill O'Reilly, who defined it himself on Fox News, the white male Christian power structure. I do believe that they feel that the white supremacy is not a part of it, or they feel like it's secondary or tertiary. A lot of the Christian nationalists believe that they are genuinely Christian in every sense of the word, and they express love, et cetera, et cetera. But when we see the breakdown of how they participate with others, how they collaborate, or the lack of collaboration, the lack of cooperation, it generally falls along how do they protect the white male Christian power structure in this country.
How do these people reconcile this with the simple reality that the only white people in the whole Bible are the Romans, and they're the bad guys?
Yeah, well, you know, it has been a thorough process over time. I mean, you mentioned Rome, like since the what I consider to be the colonization of Christianity, even by Constantine the Great, using religion as a tool for the powerful. It has taken time, but with time, they've been able to whitewash not only the entire Bible, but Jesus himself. So I don't know if they feel any need to come to terms with it. They have existed. It's almost like being born into a system you don't realize where it came from. In their entire existence, all they've known is a white Jesus.
Yeah, it's very true. And you know, I remember growing up going to church and seeing white Jesus on the walls of the church. And you know, wasn't until I was probably a teenager that it even occurred to me there was anything weird about that. So Christian nationalism, the roots of this in the United States, I'm guessing, go back a long way, and I'm not talking about just religion being used to promote slavery and things like that, but the modern movement, Rushdoony and his friends and all these other guys back, and particularly in the late 1800s, the 19th century. Is there a line? Is there an identifiable track to the contemporary white evangelical movement? And is the white evangelical movement pretty much most of it, or is it just one of the more visible and out versions of Christian nationalism?
You know, before I can answer that, I would like to just put here, I wonder how many evangelicals thoroughly identify as a Christian nationalist. That has been brought back into the national conversation because of politicians like Marjorie Taylor Greene. If you go, I mean, you mentioned the origins. If we take a look at the Ku Klux Klan and the seamless merger between their political agenda and the usage of Christ, the images of Klansmen inside of the church behind.
I think most Americans today have no idea that the Klan was a religious organization. I mean, they organized themselves as a church in many states.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we see that type of organization, whether or not they are going to be as vocal about their white supremacy, the white supremacist parts of it, we see that type of organization happening now. I was so amazed to find out that the Trinity Broadcasting Network, which, I grew up in the Christian church. I grew up, I actually have been on TBN so many times, and I hadn't really paid attention, but they have organized a political movement around religious dogma, and it has the same hallmarks. The only question is are they as vocal with their white supremacy? And now with the resurgence of white supremacy and the likes of Donald Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene, they are becoming a lot more vocal.
To what extent are they taking the position, whether publicly, overtly, explicitly, or whether in code, that what they're all about is just tribe? Hey, this is our tribe, that's their tribe. We just want to be with our own people. That kind of stuff, which I think cleaves more closely to some aspects of human nature, historically, as opposed to the really toxic version of that, which is, this is our tribe, that's their tribe, and their tribe is inferior. Their tribe is bad. Their tribe is not just people who believe weird stuff, but they're worthy of death. How clear is the separation between those two positions among white evangelicals, and how close is the white evangelical and the Christian nationalist movements, and to what extent are they separate movements? How close are they toward dancing toward that? Yeah, the other tribe is bad, and we're going to not just kick their ass, we're going to try to do everything we can to destroy them.
Tom, that is the essential question, and that's why I've been mobilizing against it, because for years, as a Black Christian and Black Christians across this country, we've been able to worship with them. We've had white pastors of Black churches, but now we see particularly, and it's sad that so much was this. It's sad that Donald Trump was such an inflection point in American history, but he certainly was an inflection point for the evangelical church to bring those very detrimental beliefs further forward to the front. I like to think of the Scopes trial, where after the trial, the embarrassment that they got sent them back to the dregs of society. And I see a long arc where now Donald Trump has brought them back into the forefront, and the type of language that is coming from them is very dangerous. They are specifically calling now for people to be executed with whom they disagree. And they're expressly going for more political power so that they can make laws to make someone else's sins punishable by the force of law. And then when you juxtapose that next to the fact that they are unable to even moderate their own selves, right? We see the Southern Baptist Church having this 700 cases of sexual assault being investigated. We see the likes of Jerry Falwell Jr. and the kind of fiasco that he had with his pants unzipped. It's almost like religion and laws for you, and don't worry about what we do.
Yeah. Are they reviving the old tropes? I mean, the bell curve kind of stuff?
Tom, as I go through these clips, and particularly clips that are provided by Right Wing Watch, I just want to recognize them. As I watch more and more of these clips, the language is becoming as insidious as that. It's becoming very direct. There's a video that I put out with one young evangelical preacher calling for the execution of anyone who is gay in this country, and he's not alone. There's a lot of language that is now shifting towards—
You've got a Republican political candidate calling for that, calling for gay people to be stoned.
That's right. And so now, with confidence, with the idea that what they have been secretly believing becoming more acceptable in the Overton window, they are becoming more vocal. And the thing is without any pushback from anyone in the Christian community, they are going to continue down this line of encouraging themselves towards a level of bigotry that will cause death.
Yeah, I heard, many years ago, actually, 5-10 years ago, that churches now are the most segregated place in America. I don't know if it's still true. I'm assuming it still is. Where does this end? And what can we do to heal it?
I think in the case of these extremists, these fundamentalists, and I use the word fundamentalist a little loosely here because obviously everyone has their own definition of that. But without a significant pushback from several sectors, number one being from other Christians, being, almost in the sense of moderate Muslims going after ISIS, there has to be progressive and moderate Christians who see the threat that is coming from evangelical circles, and we have to call it out very directly. It's a tribal issue. We must handle it tribally, internally, but also externally. Those of us who can live and coexist with others, no matter what our religion is, the people of good faith is what I like to call us. if we can unite against these threats and show a model of coexistence where we are free to have worship and free from religion at the same time, that's the only way. That's the only way forward.
Yeah, I completely agree. The great Ben Dixon, host of the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show. TheBenjaminDixonShow.com is the website. Check it out if you're not a regular watcher. And Benjamin P. Dixon on Twitter. Ben, it's always great having you with us. Thanks so much for dropping by today.
Thank you.
Great to see you again.